Hello guys, this is CJ Music and welcome back for another video tutorial, and I'm glad to see you guys. And today I'll be sharing with you the very 7 important things that as an intermediate pianist you have to consider covering, or understanding the theory behind these very 7 things in the intermediate level. So without wasting time, I just want to give you these tips and we move to the other things. Okay, so starting up with the very first thing is more of your scales. Okay, as I covered from the beginner to intermediate level part, we had the scales that was major scales and minor scales. Okay, and on the intermediate level we go to more of scales, including the whole tone scale. That's the very first scale you want to learn, whereby we speak of whole tones from B to C sharp, C sharp to E flat or D sharp. Then we go to F, going to G, A, back to B. That's your first whole tone scale. The second whole tone scale, we only have 2 of those. Starts from C. C going to D, whole step to E, whole step to F sharp, whole step to A flat or G sharp, whole step to B flat or A sharp, back to C. So those are your 2 whole tone scales, of which you need to understand, and that's very simple for you to understand. Okay, the second scale that you want to cover in the intermediate level part is the diminish. Half, whole, half, whole, half, whole step, half step, whole step. That's the half whole diminished scale. Okay. Okay, that's a very important scale you want to learn. But also we have the reverse of that, whereby we have a whole step going to half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So we have whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Okay, so that's another scale that you want to learn. Okay, and we're gonna be covering how to use these scales in real time. Okay, the other scale that you need to cover is the bebop. If you're into jazz, the major and minor bebop scales. But also we have the blues scale. That's all from the C, just using C as our reference here. So C blues. Okay, that's another important scale. The other one is the pentatonic scale, a 5-note scale. So 1, 2, 3 in the key of C, 5, 6, and going back to 1. So that's another important scale that you want to learn. Okay, and we're gonna be covering of how to use these scales. So the second thing, going to the second thing, is learning more of your chord extensions. So far we covered chords in the beginner level part, where we had major 7th, minor 7th, diminished 7th, and dominant 7th. Now here, as an intermediate, you want to cover more of your major 9th, minor 9th chords. Okay, major 9th, whereby from C major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so if we had C major 7, we just add our 9, and this makes a C major 9 chord. Okay, then we had a C minor 7, we just add the 9, we get C minor 9. Okay, so that's all about the major and minor 9. But also we have the class of 11th chords, minor 11 chords. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So your 4 is like the 11th in the key of C. We have that note there. So C minor 9, adding the 11th, it makes it a C minor 11 chord. Okay, now there are many voicings of this, and I'll come to that part, but that's your second thing you need to practice as an intermediate pianist, that you need to know your 9th chords, 11th chords. Okay, but also the other class is the 13th chords. So speaking of 13 chords, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 in in the key of C. So like a major 13 chord would be something like this. Okay, this is like a C major 13 chord, and we have a lot of different voicings for 13 chords that can be used as chord voicings for specific chords. Okay, now moving to the third thing that you need to consider as an intermediate piano player is understanding the concept of tension and release chords. Okay, speaking of dominant seventh chords, mostly of these are called tension chords, where they want to resolve to somewhere. Like a C7 chord wants to resolve to a F major. Now here, speaking of the second, fourth, we always create tension and release. Okay, if you want to move from F to B flat, I create tension with a chord like a F dominant seventh, which leads me into B flat. Okay, B flat 7 leads you into E flat. Okay, so moving in that second or fourth, of which I just spoke of it in my previous lesson. Okay, so that's another category that you need to consider: tension and release chords. So these topics that I'm just mentioning here, you can go and try to look for materials in different sources. Okay, the fourth thing that you need to cover as an intermediate level pianist is all about Triton substitution. Okay, speaking of tritons, Triton is just an interval. Okay, we have these intervals here, and maybe let me share that concept of how you get your Triton interval. So speaking of C, moving from C going to D, it's a whole step, right? One going there, it's a whole step. That's another whole step, and moving from here, you're skipping that note to there, it's another whole step. Now we have one complete tone, two, that's another tone, that's another tone. So this interval has 3 tones in it. 1, 2 to there. That's a tritone. Tri means 3. Okay, so that's how you form a tri. Oh, it's just half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 half steps from your root note. Okay, that's how we get tritons. Now I want you to go and search for Triton substitution, different materials out of that topic. Look into that topic, but also I have my intermediate level course, which has like 12 topics, and Triton substitution is one among the topics. So you can DM me via my Instagram, CalebJulius_, or you can write me via my email, calebjulius7@gmail.com. And in the description, I've just put for you my contacts. You can check me, and I can provide that course to you. Okay, so moving to the fifth thing, you have more of voicings. Okay, you need to cover more voicings. I spoke about open voicings, but here now you have rootless voicings, left and 10th voicings. Now, speaking of rootless voicings, like a C major 7 or C major 9 chord can be voiced in many ways without C being a root. Okay, that's a C major 9 chord without having a root. So I want you to check my tutorials. I have a tutorial that covers this part of voicings, and speaking of the left hand, I gave you the power chord tutorial that covers of what you have to play on your left hand. But here now again we have this kind of 10th voicings. We call those 10th voicings, whereby you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this stretch, putting it down here, that's a C 10th voicing on your left hand. You might add that 13 voicing that I just showed you. Going to F with a major 13 chord voicing, but on my left hand I have this 10th voicing. So this is something also you need to practice as an intermediate level pianist. The other thing is all about altered chords. The very number 6 thing is about altered chords. Speaking of sharp 5, sharp 9 chords. So speaking of a chord like this one here, this is called a C sharp 9, sharp 5 chord. The C7, sharp 9, sharp 5 chord. So we use these chords as passing chords. For example, in the key of A flat, this chord can be used as your passing chord going to F minor 9. So and here I just played a diminished chord going to my 2 chord. On the 5, I have a E flat 7, flat 9. Okay, flat 9 chord. So these are called altered chords. I just alter some. Altering means changing some, scale degrees. Like the 9, I just flat it or I just sharp it. So these are called altered chords. And here is the link to my tutorials speaking more of these altered chords and how you can use them, how you can form them. So the last thing that you need to cover as an intermediate pianist is all about the nuances. So speaking of grace notes, as you see many of us playing, those trills. So that kind of, stuffs, and more of modern styles of playing, or, the touch or accenting of notes on the keyboard. Okay, so this marks the end of our tutorial, and these are the very important 7 things that I just wanted to share with you, and I hope this gives you insight to what you want to work on as an intermediate piano player, if you have not yet come across these topics that I've just mentioned. And this gives you room to go to different sites and YouTube channels and search for these materials, as I've just given you small insight to every topic that you need to cover. So adding up to what I just shared from beginner to intermediate, now here we are here on the intermediate level, you had also these 7 things to cover. So in our next tutorial, I'll be sharing with you of how to become a good gospel pianist. What things should you consider covering up so as to open up your gospel sound. So until next time, do not forget to subscribe to this account, and let me see you on the next episode that we're going to be covering of how to become a good gospel pianist. So God bless, and I'll see you on the next one. Amen.